Hi, Libra. Welcome to your September 2018 Astro Update. It's Rena here. So I think September is a really great month for you, Libra. And with all the other signs that I've done so far, there's some wonderful things. But there's just something about some of these transits that I think are great for you. Now, it doesn't hurt that you have your solar return this month. And I wasn't even thinking in terms of that when I first started to kind of calculate all these things. But let's start at the beginning, because as we enter September, the sun is in your 12th house. And the 12th house, for you, that's Virgo, is the house of karma. Past lives. It's a hidden house. It's kind of the hermit house. So whenever we have have the sun in our house, which is going to be the month before our birthday every year, this never changes with the sun. This is a time when even physically you may notice a difference, where you feel kind of draggy, where you feel like you don't have the energy you normally have. And Librans are very social by and large, unless your natal sun is in the 12th house, and you might be more of a person who loves solitude. But for a lot of Libra folks, you are very social, and yet in this time frame, you may be uncharacteristically a loner, and you may be more contemplative than kind of the typical social butterfly. So this, I think, is good. I think it's always good to have periods of reflection. And if a person, this is what I love so much about astrology, because if a person knows that this is happening, if they're consciously aware of the fact that this is happening astrologically, they can embrace it. But if you don't know, you might be going like, whoa, why am I turning down all these invitations? And you might think there's something wrong with you when it's really cyclical. It's really part of these astrological cycles. And in this case, it occurs every year. So the sun is in that house, and then you have Mercury going into that house on the 5th. So this means up until that point, Mercury is in the 11th house, which does deal with friendships, does deal with groups. And this can be a time, this is a remnant or leftover from the month of August. You had Mercury in this 11th house. And this is where the Mercury retrograde occurred. So it's possible that starting in late July into August, if you had some kind of falling out or misunderstanding with a friend, you are getting back on track, and you may even be contacting, or maybe it's even with a group of people, and contacting them and, just explaining yourself, and everything is getting sorted out now that Mercury is direct. But that's only until the 5th, and then you go into this hibernation mode verbally as well. And Mercury in the 12th house can be very strange, because it can bring up memories that are, or thoughts that don't have a logical, current memory. So it might even be from past lives, or just ideas. You may find that it's harder to communicate because Neptune is involved, is the ruler of that 12th house. And it's not very linear. It's not very clear. It's more symbolic. It's more, it's more of a intuitive kind of a thing. But it's great for artists having Mercury in the 12th, because it can give you some amazing ideas. And then on the next day, Saturn turns direct in Capricorn. And boy, I'll tell you something, Libra. That 4th house of yours is loaded for bear. You've got Saturn there. You've got Mars, and you have Pluto. All the, these heavy hitters. And with Pluto, this has been a 10-year run so far, another 5 years to go. Obviously, this is a general forecast, so it's going to differ between each Libra in terms of the exact dates of some of these transits. But in general, Saturn is in Capricorn until 2023, so we're talking about another 5 years. You have Saturn. Oh, I said Saturn, I meant Pluto and Capricorn. But Saturn is going to be in this house for 2 years, probably at least 2.5 years or 2 years here on out. And that, Saturn is also challenging sometimes, especially in the 4th house, because you may find that you have to you have some kind of an obligation in regards to home and family. And this could be your family of origin, especially your mother. And depending on how well you have gotten along with your family of origin, that will determine whether or not this is an easier time for you or not. Because for some of you, just like it's going to be the law of averages, not every Libra person has a great family dynamic, and you may have come from a difficult situation, and you may be faced with a difficult dilemma. And it's not easy to be, to have demands placed upon you. And if you come from, let's say, a history of abuse, you may be very afraid of getting involved with people like that again, even if they are connected to you biologically. So it's not always going to be that easy. Something may be demanded of you. Saturn can be very strict in that sense. And it could be a karmic kind of a thing where it's either a karmic test or a karmic lesson that relates to home and family. This could be something to do with perhaps a psychological issue from your past that you realize has been holding you back, that comes from your family of origin, and that you need to kind of explore. We could talk about it in terms of ancestral karma. And it's funny because I always rejected ancestral karma due to the fact that I thought to myself, well, if in every lifetime we're changing positions, and sometimes one person is the parent, sometimes is the child, who's to say that we're even in the same family? So I thought that was a bit silly. But there seems to be some validity to it, that maybe we are incarnating in these soul clusters, and we do, even if the musical chairs are rearranged, we still are experiencing certain, lineages through these soul families, and we have that karmic connection. So an example of ancestral karma can be addiction, violence, and other forms of abuse. And, when you talk about the cycle getting repeated, this is something to look at when Saturn is in the 4th house, but just in general, like how you feel limited in life due to the past. And, and people do that in different ways. Some people go into therapy, and some people, get a life coach or an energy healer. Who knows? Everyone has their own way of trying to heal. So there's that. And also, I would explore the idea of roots, and because that's what the 4th house is too, like foundation. And Saturn certainly is all about foundation. So any kind of real estate issue, like let's say you inherit land or a house during this period, real estate in this period, How does that feel? Do you feel like you can lay down roots in the area? Or do you feel like it's not right for you? And explore these feelings and do so intuitively. Not what you should do, but how you feel you need to proceed. So something might have felt when Saturn was retrograding here, not quite disciplined. You might have felt that things were kind of haywire. The past was just smacking you in the face. I think that you're going to be able to handle this Saturn transit more constructively now that it's direct. So that's a good thing. On the 9th, Venus, it moves from your sign. I think that's one of the things that made me think this was going to be a great month to you. And then it goes to Scorpio. Now that's from the first to the second houses. And so it's like from great to fantastic, because you're ruled by Venus. So you having Venus in the first house is your dream, because you like to be gorgeous and marvelous. And so that Venus can really make somebody appealing. And to me, it's not just, physical appearance. It's more than that. It's just that special something that gives you, Venus is called the attractor. So attraction is not something that we can put our finger on sometimes. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. But Venus in your sign can make it easier for you to, I think, manifest, because your being is just like radiating Venusian vibes. And since you're ruled by it, it's even that much better. Then it goes into your second house of earned income, and Venus actually rules that second house. So Venus is a money sign, a money planet. The second house is a money house. And so that can be good for boosting finances in some way. And for buying bling, luxury items, things that you don't need but you want, which is right up your alley. On that same day, you have a new moon in Virgo, again, the 12th house. So this can be a great time to possibly start some kind of new spiritual regimen. I mean, it can even be like joining a new yoga studio, going to a new church, or finding out about a new meditative practice. Anything that involves 12th house matters can be very advantageous for you now. And you can really plant seeds for your spiritual growth. On the 12th, Mars, which has been in your 4th house of home and family, there's another heavy, well, I shouldn't say heavy, but it's Mars in the 4th house can indicate conflict, and this could even be with the mother. It goes into the 5th house on the 12th. But let's talk about Mars in the 4th house, because when Mars retrograded, it began in that 5th house of romance, creativity, and it went back into the 4th. So there is a possibility, because you have these intense stellium in that 4th house of, these transits of Saturn and Mars, and also Pluto, which is a very transformative planet, but definitely intense in this home and family sector. So for some people, even though this is not technically the marriage house, by extension, this could be your current family. There may have been some crisis, maybe with your children even, and that put a strain on your committed partnership. And maybe you had an affair. 5th house, recreational sex, Mars, libido. And then and this could have even be with the retrograde. It could even be somebody from the past who came back into the picture, and it threatened your relationship. And then you have that. Well, now Mars is direct in that 4th house. And again, it could be even like with the mother, even though because Saturn is direct there maybe communication broke down somehow when Saturn was retrograde, or something came into the picture. And now you are asserting yourself. That is something too. Maybe you have allowed yourself to be walked on by family members, by a mother, and you're saying no more. I'm not going to allow this anymore. And it's possible that you kind of like gave up when Saturn was retrograding and didn't have strong boundaries and were taken advantage of, but now you realize how injurious that is to yourself, and you're standing up for yourself with your mother or your family of origin in some way, or even maybe your children. Maybe you're a pushover with your own children. So then on the 12th, Mars goes into the 5th house. This is great for an artist to complete projects or to be motivated, inspired, on fire for their creative juices flowing. This is great for a love affair, especially the lusty variety where you just feel that strong physical passion for somebody. And on the 21st, Mercury goes into your sign. So it's been in the 12th. Now your Mercury is aligned with you and who you are. And this makes it easier for you to communicate, because in the 12th, not so much. Now it's in your sign, and now you can be that gracious Libra that makes you a natural spokesmodel, but more than a spokesmodel, but a PR person for sure. On the 22nd, the sun goes into your sign. There's your solar return. Your energy is back on track. Happy birthday. I say happy birthday to all Libras, but this is going to be especially for those born in September in the first 10 degrees. And on the 24th, a couple days later, there is a full moon in the 7th house in your opposite sign, Aries, okay? At 1 degree of Aries, so very early degree of Aries. So basically, Libra, looking at some of these things, putting things together, this could be, for some people, the ending of a marriage. Now, before you thumb me down, I'm not saying this would be out of the blue. This would be something that was bound to happen because of a lot of strain to your family. Either you having to take care of a family member from your family of origin, and that causing conflict with your significant other for some reason, and maybe even your parent, your mother, coming in between you and your spouse, and being part of that. If you have a narcissistic mother, she may be partly to blame, but of course, we have to take responsibility. We can't blame others for the demise of a relationship. But still, that kind of triangulation, there can be a strain, maybe because of some kind of an affair, that you may have had. Because this is your reading and your transits, I have to think it's on your end of things. But who knows? I mean, it's possible that you are doing this in retaliation. Maybe your partner cheated, and so you're feeling like, okay, I'll show him or her, and I'll do it too, or something like that. But anyway, so don't think that that's something that's going to come out of the blue. Now, it's kind of like pretty much a done deal at this point. And the other thing, too, is that this could be a situation of realizing how much you love your partner. So it could be the exact opposite, where you have even greater feelings of love for your partner and commitment because you have gone through so much. So look at it that way. It all depends on the individual situation. Okay, Libra, that's what I have for you. So if you like this kind of analysis, I do this with personal readings of the natal chart variety. And I have two. I have a truncated version that is just looking at the trends like this, but taken out for a year of, various noteworthy that I deem noteworthy. And that's a shorter reading. And then I have the full natal chart interpretation, which includes personal planets and analyzing how they work together, how they might be kind of a conflict within themselves, and noting the planets in different houses. And so that's a longer version. So I'll provide links to both of those below this video. I hope you have a wonderful September. Bye.